Welcome back, Truth Seekers. It is Athanasius on the weekly Athanasius Report, and great to be back with you, ladies and gentlemen. So, this campaign season is heating up to be a very contentious one. Well, actually, it already is contentious to the point where reports are coming out that friendships and marriages are ending over the political season here. Seriously, people, relax. Okay? And that's going to be a major theme of today's vlog here. Relax. Stop panicking. Stop worrying. We still have 70 something days before the election. There is plenty of time, folks. There is plenty of time to try to get your argument across. You don't need to end friendships or marriages just to win the argument here, okay? Remember, Rome wasn't built in a day. Good arguments are not built upon the bones of broken friendships and marriages. So just relax. Let's go ahead and jump into the biggest issue for this week, and that was Trump's immigration policy. He was supposed to announce it this week. He's instead pushed it back to next week. I think it's a good move. Why? Well, earlier this week, he did 2 town halls with Sean Hannity. And in those town halls, he answered some questions about his thoughts on immigration and what he is looking to do towards his immigration policy. He did not give any quote unquote official stances for his policy, but he did at least answer tell what general direction he was going into. And this has been misinterpreted to say that he is now flip-flopping on the issue of deporting immigrants. Folks, no, do not listen to this malarkey. Trump did not flip-flop. Trump's immigration policy has not changed. The only thing that's changed is the way in which he's pitching it. Before it was, get them all out of here, right? You're not supposed to be here, you're supposed to get out. What's he now saying? Well, we're going to follow the law. Okay, what does the law say? The law says that anybody that comes in here illegally, or people that are found to be illegally in the country, get deported. That's what the law says. So he's not saying anything different than what he's been saying before, except he's just saying it in a more politically savvy way. We'll follow the law, because that is the law of the land, and it hasn't been repealed. It hasn't been rescinded by Congress. Obama can't do it with his stupid pen and phone. All right, it's illegal for him to do so, so it still stands as law of the land. Now, between the 2 town halls here, okay, some interesting things to point out. First being, as I mentioned before, Trump's still maintaining his policies on immigration, where he's going to deport criminals. That was probably the biggest thing, is that he said he's going to deport criminals, but then when it came to, people have been here for a long time, he said, we're going to follow the laws. Everybody misinterpreted that as he's going to let them stay. No, he even came back and said no amnesty. He came back on Anderson Cooper like the next day and said no amnesty. All right, don't interpret my words to say that I'm going to bring no amnesty whatsoever. We're not going to call for amnesty here. He's going to build a wall. He's going to put e-verify into place, and he's going to go after those that overstay their visa. I mean, this is stuff that he's been saying over and over again since the beginning. He hasn't changed. But there's a couple of things that people have not picked up on from these town halls. First is that Trump turned and asked the audience what they think they should do about the illegals who lived here for many years. Now, stop and think about that for a sec. Here is the man going for the most powerful position in the world, arguably, that being the president of the United States, and rather than consult a whole bunch of eggheads and academics and political savvy types, what did he do? He turned to the people. He turned to the ordinary people within the audience of the town hall and asked them, what do you think we should do here? What does that show? Well, a good leader listens to not just his own peers, but also people below him, people that he's supposed to represent, because they are the ones that have a closer tie to the issues. They're the ones that understand more what's going on in everyday life than those that are up in their, I don't want to say ivory towers, because not all of us are in ivory towers. Where I'm coming from this is that as an officer in the Navy, I had a different viewpoint than the people that are down on the ground. I didn't work in the spaces, busting rust, chipping paints, mopping the floors, or decks we call them in the Navy. or doing any sort of the manual stuff. I was more cerebral. I was on top, leading, making sure that people were getting to where they were supposed to go, that my men were being taken care of. And this required me to listen to not just my peers, but to the people underneath me to make sure that I was making the best decision for my crew. And I had to listen to them and to be able to understand where it was that they were coming from, when they were having a certain problem here. And if I didn't listen to them, then I wouldn't have understood the situation properly, and I wouldn't have been able to make the best possible choice. Argue with me all you want on this, all right? But I'm telling you that a good leader listens to the people underneath them, because a leader only knows so much. It's the people on the ground that have the requisite knowledge most of the time to be able to help a leader make that better judgment. Now, the second thing about him turning to the audience here, he demonstrated that even among Republicans, or supposed Republicans in the audience, or actually I can't really call them conservatives, or conservative-minded people, the consensus is still out on what to do with illegals that have come to this country, 10, 20 years ago, and they've started businesses, or they're living here, they haven't caused any problems. What do you do with it? Some of the people in the audience were saying we should kick them all out. All right, they shouldn't have been here in the first place. All right, they should go back right now. Others are saying, well, they're already here and they've been here for a long time. Why don't we just have them pay a hefty fine, no amnesty, no citizenship, and then we can work out the details of what to do with them after we get them out of the shadows, so to speak. So you see that even among normal everyday Americans, this issue is still heavily divided on what it is that we should do. There is not a good consensus between the majority of Americans on how to handle this problem. So I think Trump made a wise decision in taking a step back and saying, you know what, I'm not going to release my immigration policy this week. I'm going to release it next week, because now he's going to take all these inputs from all the different camps and what they want to do, and I think he's going to come up with the best solution. Why? Well, he's a deal maker, the art of the deal and all that. He's going to find something that's going to be a win-win for everybody, because those are the best deals. If you try to make it so that one side wins, one side loses, well, then you're going to lose support. He's going to try to make it so that he can get as many people as possible under the tent with a win-win solution, so everybody gets a little bit of something in the end. It may not be everything that they wanted, but at least they're getting something. They're walking away from the table with something, and something is better than nothing. So that's my interpretation of what happened this week. And feel free to disagree with me on this, but you know what? I would like to think I'm pretty level-headed to be able to step back and look back and not immediately jump to conclusions and say, oh my gosh, he's betraying us. Why? Oh God, why? I was listening to Ann Coulter this week, and I don't want to say that I have mixed feelings about it, but yeah, I have mixed feelings about her, because she can be a brilliant woman at times, but then I also think she's too hot-headed to really make a reliable argument. And when her book came out this week, and then she gets on Sean Hannity, the radio program, she starts talking about how, she was wondering if this was going to be her shortest book tour, and she was kidding. But it's like, Anne, relax. Everybody, chill out. Wait until Trump actually releases his immigration policy. Remember a little while back when I was talking about the conventions, and at the Republican convention, Ivanka came out and said that they're going to implement policies that help with child care for families. And I thought, what is this all about? Are they going to put forward another government-funded program to try to help families out? I was leery about that, but I said I wasn't going to make any final judgments until I heard his policy. And then when he came out with his tax plan, and he said that he was going to make the child care costs tax deductible, then I thought, oh, good. So he's not going to be funding it through tax dollars. He's essentially just going to create a tax break for child care. The same thing, folks. Relax until you see his actual immigration policies. And if he does flip-flop, I will be the first to come out on Twitter and everywhere else and say, yep, the SOB just flip-flopped with us. But even if he did, even if this was the one thing that he flip-flopped, okay, I am still going to vote for him in the fall, because him is having him as president is still going to be exponentially better than the possibility of a Hillary Clinton presidency. I do not want a Hillary Clinton presidency whatsoever. And I'm not saying that I'm blindly loyal to Trump, but I am saying that that when my choices now are Trump and Clinton, I would rather have Clinton or Trump, because at least he would build that wall and kick out all the illegal aliens, all the illegal alien criminals, I should say. If he gives amnesty to the rest, okay, I would be disappointed, yes. But, 2 out of 3 things that I would get to help make this country better is still, a win versus 0 out of 3 with Hillary Clinton. Anyway, folks, relax. Still got 70 days. Let's hear what's going on here, okay? Let's hear what his plan is going to be. We'll know in due time, and then we'll be able to have a better idea of where he's coming from here, okay? Relax. Speaking more about Trump here, he's also going after the black vote like no other Republican candidate before. And I say, good. I think that the Republicans have greatly, as much as the Democrats have let down the blacks, okay, any logical black voter would have known what they were getting with the Democratic votes, okay, if they were smart enough and they weren't so saddled with welfare money to be able to see the dangers of voting for Democrats. Now I believe that more and more are waking up to what has been happening, especially now that Trump has essentially called out to them and said, hey, look, you've been voting Democrat for 50 plus years. Your schools are failing. The inner cities are failing. Everything about your jobs are being exported overseas. Everything the Democrats promise you is, not coming pass, and here I am reaching out a hand to you. What do you got to lose? I'm promising to bring jobs back. I'm promising to help fix your city. Now, those are some grand promises to be sure, but you know what? It is getting a lot more African Americans thinking, and we're seeing this reflected in the polls. In that, I think it was this last week that Trump's numbers with blacks rose like 4 separate times throughout the week. And this, of course, is pissing off Hillary Clinton's campaign, and, of course, Hillary Clinton, and the media, and even some establishment Republicans. Like, you're talking down to blacks. You're making them think that, they're just being taken advantage of, and that's terrible. You shouldn't do that. And how dare you go after the black vote? I mean, it's like, excuse me. Democrats, you don't have a monopoly on the minorities here. In fact, the very fact that you have a quote-unquote supposed majority or majority support from the minority communities, and that their lives are not getting any better, shows that your message is false. It's just full of lies. And here's Trump that's actually offering a genuine bit of hope, and you want to shoot that down because you want to keep everybody on the plantation. Again, folks, Democrats were the original slave owners. Do not trust these people whatsoever. Getting back to the main topic, though, of these black groups, more and more are now forming action groups are going around into the inner cities, and they're going to stomp for Trump. You have like black voters for Bernie. These were Democrat supporters that were betrayed by the Democrat convention or by the Democrat National Committee, especially over the treatment of Bernie Sanders and so forth. And so they see the corrupt system, and they're like, you know what? We're never voting for Hillary, but we're going to vote for Trump because we can at least agree with him on trade. And so now they're trying to convince other people to go that way as well. I think this is a good thing. This is a good trend. And you're starting to see some positive trend in the polls. One of them I just looked at today was posted on Breitbart. The poll it's like a weekly poll that continually shows like the race and how it's coming, and what they're showing is that Trump is now within 3 points of of Hillary Clinton. I mean, considering that before that he was down by like double digits in some places. Morning Consult poll, there we go. Morning Consult poll shows that Trump is now down by 3 points against Hillary Clinton. And when you look at the poll and you see the trend over the last month since the beginning of August, what you'll see is that Hillary has not gone up at all the entire time in August. She's flatlined, but she's not gone up, and she continually goes down. Trump, on the other hand, has not gone down. He continues to rise up. And then you also see that the number of undecided, which has been hovering around 17%, started sliding down towards the end of the month. I think more and more people, and that coincides with Trump, of course, rising in the polls as well. I think more and more people, when they actually hear what Trump is saying, will actually go for him, because Hillary just cannot be trusted. And Trump is doing a good job right now in the last 2 weeks, basically calling her out and trying to get her to come out of her hole. Yeah, speaking about that. So she finally came out of her hole to give a little press conference, okay? And what did she talk about again? What did she talk about at her press conference? Was it some big policy reveal or possible cabinet selections or Supreme Court? Nope. The vast alt-right-wing conspiracy, which is now in its umpteenth freaking year against them ever since they were in the White House. It used to be the right-wing conspiracy. Now it's the alt-right-wing conspiracy. What's the difference? Hell if I know. I be perfectly honest. I've heard alt-right-wing in passing maybe a few times before this, but I had no idea what they were, except that for some reason they have this fascination with this green frog cartoon called Pepe that I guess is their mascot. I looked all this stuff up in the last couple of days, and to be perfectly honest, I still don't quite fully understand what the hell the difference is between a right wing and a alt right wing, except that apparently in the Democrats' eyes, the alt right wing are racist bigots. Which, how's that any different from normal right? I don't know. It just seems that it's just another means to label a group of people and try to shift the subject from what is really important, and that is the Clinton Foundation, which we'll get to in just a second here. But the alt-right-wing conspiracy speech Hillary gave in Reno, Nevada went off about as well as a dead bomb. When you have people in mainstream media looking at you going, that wasn't a good speech. You know you done effed up, honey. You know you done effed up. And I think that there's a lot of people that are looking at her now and they're on the fence about supporting her, thinking themselves, why did she give this speech? I mean, I give Trump a lot of crap, but you know what? He has been sounding a lot more presidential lately, especially when he's on teleprompter. He hasn't really been making fun of anybody lately, except for Hillary Clinton and Obama, which is to be expected in the political sphere. He's also actually putting forward policies, which I may not agree 100%, but at least he's putting these out, and she's talking about the boogeyman in her closet. Again, more and more people, if Trump is successful in drawing Hillary out of her hidey hole and gets her to speak, more and more people are going to see that this lady is completely effing nuts. So Trump is smart in attacking Hillary in such a way to get her to come out and actually speak. You can expect, I believe, more and more of this as the campaign goes by. Now, getting back to the Reno press conference real quick. She didn't take any questions after this. She just went and spewed all her crap and left a big stinky bomb in the air there for everybody to permeate in. And then at the end, at an event, reporters were trying to ask her some questions about it. And what did she do? Oh, no questions. Here, try some chocolates. These chocolates are amazing. Try some chocolates here. Like, what an arrogant witch. I mean, can you imagine if somebody on the GOP had tried doing this? Oh, what questions? No. Here, have some sushi, man. Try some sushi. Or, whatever. I don't know. What the hell would Donald Trump be? Maybe McDonald's. Yeah, I don't know. But the arrogance of this woman here. Like, I have no time for your questions here. Here, have some cake. Eat cake. And just leave me alone. Wow. That's also going to play real well. I'm surprised no one's put out a political ad about that. Though Trump is revving up his political ads and getting them and starting to get them out into key battleground states. Yeah. So other than that little press conference there's been no other rallies, no other press conferences. She's only held fundraisers in which she dresses like a really badly dressed hospital patient or nurse, depending on how you want to look at that gown with the big old pockets. And I love the one. It's like Captain Kangaroo. Yeah. What the hell was she thinking with? Who the hell advised or like let her go out looking like that? I mean, my God, it was like a badly dressed Halloween special cooking show. Then you have, in addition to the fundraisers there, she went on Jimmy Kimmel and, of course, answered softball questions and then did the all important test of opening a jar of pickles to show that she's healthy and to put to bed once and for all that she has any sort of health issues with the Republicans are saying here. First off, I want to know if she actually opened that jar of pickles. I mean, it didn't look like it opened up at all when she did it. Second, even if she did, I wonder. Jimmy says, "Oh, it's not been tampered at all." Bullshit. No. You take her, you walk her stupid butt down to the nearest grocery store, and you just let her pick a random jar off the shelf and have her try to open it right there in the store. That's the fair way to do it. Not, oh, I'm just going to pull a jar of pickles right out from under my desk here. That's been no way been tampered. Yeah, I believe you as much as I believe Hillary Clinton and their foundation is not a money laundering scheme. But this is what we're up against, folks. And Hillary's going to continue to get softballs. I want the debates, but at the same time, I'm also kind of dreading them. In that, what if we have another Candy Crawley situation? Oh, I hope Trump is smart enough to not put up with any of that crap there. But according to Jimmy Kimmel, she opened up a jar of pickles, so of course she's healthy. No. Hell no. No, I don't believe it whatsoever. Just like I don't believe that the Clinton Foundation will no longer be accepting foreign donations after the election. You just took a $32 million payday from the Prince of Bahrain. What makes you think, or what makes you think that we, the people, think that you are going to give up that kind of money? And yes, aside from your brain dead supporters, which could make we could arguably make a medical case that they are so brain dead that we should take life support off of them. But that's another topic for another day. But the regular people that have not gone completely, fully retard, and we understand that even the casual connections between donors contributing to the Clinton Foundation and them receiving visits with Hillary Clinton while she was Secretary of State, and then getting some big payoff in the end. Even we understand that there's some shady crap going on with that organization here. And for her to say that, oh well, we're gonna stop receiving foreign donations after we get elected, why aren't you not receiving them now? Oh, that's right, because you're trying to get the last minute donations in so people can buy influence now while you're still quote unquote not attached to any sort of political position, and then you'll just owe everybody favors from the time you get into the office there. That's really what this is that all the Prince of Bahrain and everybody else is just dropping millions upon millions on Hillary Clinton. They're trying to buy her, trying to buy influence, get some special deal when she becomes president. That's what's going on right now. And it's going to continue even when she becomes president. Why? Well, guess who's going to be running the company after she's gone? Her daughter. Chelsea has no other skills whatsoever. She just happened to be born into the right family, the right corrupt family, and she's just going to head the Clinton Foundation. And we're supposed to believe that the daughter is not going to have any connection with the mother if the mother gets in the... No. Hell no. People, I may have been born on a Monday, but it wasn't last Monday. Come on. This is just stupid. And then also another thing with the Clinton Foundation, and this may not seem related here, but just hear me out on this, okay? There's a big brouhaha going on about the Epipen company, Mylan, and how they've jacked up the prices on their EpiPens by like 500% or whatever in the last few years. and people are ticked off with them because how could you do that? This life-saving medicine that people need if they get stung by a bee or have, some other allergy or whatever. People are going to die because you're just charging way too much for it. Well, okay, let's look. Let's stop looking at the symptom here, people, and let's look at the cause of this. Why is it that Mylon, the EpiPen company, is charging like $500-600 for an EpiPen? Well, first off, there is no competition in the EpiPen market. Mylon owns the monopoly on it. Now, when you stop and think, well, isn't the government supposed to be there to keep monopolies from happening? Well, who do you think created the monopoly in the first place? It was the government, specifically the FDA. Their regulations when it came to EpiPens and the like are so stringent that there's been no competition that's been able to get through all the bureaucratic regulations needed to just pass FDA regulations to say, this medicine's safe, you can start taking it. No one's been able to do it yet. And then the other thing, too, is that the EpiPen company, Mylan, has the patent on the EpiPen injector itself. So, yes, the actual applicator, the EpiPen, is copyrighted under the Mylan company. And of course, they're not going to share their technology. They're not going to make it so that other people can use their technology without probably paying exorbitant amounts of money to be able to use it. But even then, they're probably making more money off of just keeping the design to themselves. So until somebody comes up with another design that could inject the medicine necessary into themselves, you're kind of SOL on that front. The other thing too is that guess who's running the Mylan company? The daughter of Senator Manchin from West Virginia. The daughter of a sitting politician who is in Washington, D.C., is running the Mylan company. Do you think that maybe there's a conflict of interest there? That maybe dear old daddy might be pulling some strings with certain bureaucrats up there on the Capitol Hill to make sure things are all hunky-dory with his daughter's company? And then you also, strangely enough, Hillary Clinton decried Mylan for their exorbitant price gouging. But, she kind of forgot. Either she forgot or just hoped that we would forget. But the Clinton Foundation has done business with Mylan in sending EpiPens around the world as part of as one of the few things they've done charity-wise. That it wasn't a complete money laundering scheme. It's just enough to keep up the appearance that yes, we're a charity. So the whole EpiPen thing is nothing more than a giant black eye on the face of big government and showing why you should not trust big government. Big government is what is stifling competition, and competition is what you need to drive down prices. If you don't believe me that competition works, go look at any fast food chain right now. McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King, or whatever it is, okay? Look at how they handle the dollar menu now. Well, actually, some McDonald's have the dollar menu, some others don't. But think about it. McDonald's rolled out with a dollar menu. Well, then other companies started picking up on that, roll out with a dollar menu. But then it really wasn't economically viable to do the dollar menu anymore. So some companies started rolling out with, 2 for $5 or get a whole meal for $4. And then everybody started copying it. Now you have like mix and match 2 for $3 at McDonald's, or you have the 5 for $5 at Checkers and Rallies, or all these companies are competing with each other and they want your bucks, and so they're offering different meals and different incentives to try to get you to come to their door. And what that does is that because no one has a particular monopoly, they know that they have to offer the best possible product at the lowest cost, and so they are intentionally trying to find a dollar amount that makes the most sense for them to stay in business, but at the same time also makes you think, you know what? I don't really care to do the 2 for $3 when I can go an extra dollar over here and get 4 items or whatever it is. It's getting you to think, you know what? I really want the most bang for my buck. So when you take away competition, companies are not incentivized to offer you the best possible product at the lowest cost. So they can do whatever the hell they want with the prices. And that's what's happened here. There is no competition for Mylon to say, you know what? I'm going to offer, instead of 1 EpiPen for $200, you'll get 2 EpiPens for $200. And I mean, it's not going to it's not going to get any better until somebody finally addresses the main issue, which is big government regulation, over-regulation, which is preventing competition. That's enough about that. Next, we are moving on to media trying to spin a story about Trump and how he is threatening to sue certain media outlets over a story on Melania Trump. Now, if you listen to the media on this, they try to paint themselves as the innocent babies that are being bullied by the big, mean Donald Trump, and what he's doing is unprecedented and dangerous, and he shouldn't be going after our First Amendment rights. Okay, First Amendment rights does not include libel, which is exactly what is going on here. Some publications started printing a unsubstantiated story about Melania Trump, saying that she came over to the United States as a sex worker, not a model. And Donald Trump, defending his wife's honor, is stepping up and got the same firm that helped out Hulk Hogan take down Gawker. Yes. Anyway, and they sent a letter around to all these medications saying either retract and publish an apology for this, or we will sue for this. And now the media's trying to claim that Donald Trump trying to sue the media over a story published on his wife is unprecedented, dangerous, and that this is how he's going to operate in the White House. He's going to silence his enemies. No. He's going to silence libelous, slanderous scumbags that go after his wife. Now, whatever you think about Melania Trump's past, okay, as a model, and yes, I've seen the photos, okay. Certainly, I would pray that if I ever had daughters, that they would not go into that line of work whatsoever. However, that was back then. We were all young, dumb, and stupid once upon a time. And we've all done things in our past that I'm sure that we would very much like to forget, and we hope that our friends and family will forget as well, or they never know. But the difference is, and I said this before in one of my other videos, is that you either use your experiences from the past to help influence you to be a better person in the future, or you let it weigh you down. Melania does not do that sort of work anymore. She's a stay-at-home mom. She takes care of Donald Trump's youngest son, Barron, and by all accounts, she seems to be a very down-to-earth woman, despite her past. So, for the media to try to portray her as basically a whore is not only outrageous, but it is flat out wrong. And Trump is doing the honorable thing of standing up for his wife and fighting back against those scumbags that are trying to impugn her, her honor. I mean, whatever she has left, okay, because again, I don't condone I don't condone what she did before with her pictures or whatever, and I'm pretty sure that there are a lot that would feel the same way. But even so, there is still there's still a little bit of honor left within her. She has not gone completely off the rails like, say, Lena Dunham or Amy Schumer or some of these other cows that just show their body and think it's completely okay, that there's no problem with it. So that's what the media is not telling you, is that they picked a fight with Trump, and Trump is, of course, going to hit back. Good for him, and I really do hope that they listen, because he will win in the end. Now, another thing the media is not reporting to you, and I keep harping on the fact that when it comes to the polls, don't always take the polls at face value. You have to look deep, and you have to see, the sample size, the demographic breakdown. You have to see, and then what time span it took place, because you could have had a poll taking place 2 weeks ago that they just released that would have reflected all the negative stories that Trump had, but then not reflect all the positive things that have happened within the last 2 weeks. And you'll get a different result. So you have to pay attention to that. But another thing you have to pay attention to is you have to look and see what is going on in some of these states with regards to voter registration. And some reports are coming out saying that Republican registration is going up in key battleground states like Ohio and Florida. Now, you can take this for what you want, okay? It could just be smoke being blown up our butts, but it could also be a sign that more and more people are switching parties because they want to vote for Donald Trump, and they want to show that they are part of the winning side in terms of policies and so forth. I know that in the case of Florida, they have a rule where you, especially in the primaries, you can only vote for the political party that you are affiliated with. It's not an open primary whatsoever. So if you wanted to vote for Donald Trump, you had to register as a Republican for the primaries. Now, in the general, it's, of course, a little more opened up. But imagine, if you will, a lot of people that wanted to see Donald Trump get the Republican nomination, well, they would have to go and switch and become a Republican in order to be able to vote for him. And does that mean that they're necessarily going to vote for him in the general election? Who knows? Some people say that this is Operation Chaos on the Democrat side. And for those who don't know what Operation Chaos was, back during 2008, Rush Limbaugh did this thing where the primaries were pretty much over between the Clintons and between Clinton and Obama, but just to keep things going, he told people to switch, become Democrat, vote for Clinton to keep her in the race, to cause more chaos in the Democrat committee and to drag out their convention longer, so that would hopefully hurt them more in the general election, and then they would just switch back to Republican when their mission was accomplished. So could this be a reverse Operation Chaos? Well, yeah, it could be. I mean, I'm not going to dismiss it out of the realm of possibility here, but why? I don't think Democrats would be stable enough to be able to think that through. I don't think they could actually physically stomach having an R by their name, even just long enough to, just cause chaos in the Republican Party. I think they are so repulsed by the idea of becoming Republican that that enough people would say that they wouldn't do it. So then why is Republican registration up? Well, it could also be from independents who wanted to get in on the primary action. I do believe that there are. I probably should back up here and say there probably are some Democrats who aren't full retards that did cross over. I mean, you do have the Trumpocrat movement, which is a group of Democrats that are going around stumping for Trump because of his economic policies and immigration policies and so forth. So it is very much possible, but I don't honestly see Republican registration going up in these battleground states as a negative. I just call it a gut feeling, if you will. It's just something, I can't put my finger on it exactly, but there's just something about this story that leads me to believe that this is true and that this is a positive story, that we aren't just being led out to a huge disappointment come November. Anyway, so we have that. And now we're turning our attention away from the election news. I'm sure you probably all are sick of it. So let's talk about some other things that have been happening around the world here. Let's go to London. So we had an unknown person trying to break into the Ecuadorian consulate in the wee hours of the morning in London. What was it, last Monday, I think it was? Anyway, the interesting thing about this story is that the person did not get into the consulate itself. Security caught him. The guy ran away. At least we assume it's a guy. Could be a female. Who knows? But the guy was not able to get into the consulate. Security was able to chase him away. They weren't able to apprehend him, so we don't know what his true intentions are. But what's so interesting about that site is that that's where Julian Assange, the WikiLeaks guy, is hiding right now. He's been there for like 5 years in political asylum, and he hasn't left in that entire time. Now, when you think about what all has been happening in the last few weeks, especially with people that potentially could be speaking against Clinton Foundation or Hillary Clinton herself, and they just end up, mysteriously dying, it could have been a possible assassination. Somebody could have been trying to break in there and try to get to Julian Assange while he was sleeping. It may have also just been a scare tactic to try to tell him that, if you release these files, we will get to you. We didn't get to you this time because we wanted you to know that we could get to you, but next time we will get to you and we will kill you. So that is a possibility. And why are they going after Julian Assange? Well, other than the DNC leaks he just released a few weeks ago, plus some other interesting little tidbits, he has come out and publicly said that he has a bombshell of an October surprise that will put the final nail in Hillary Clinton's campaign once and for all. He won't tell us what, but he just says that he has all these documents that are so juicy that they cannot be ignored. So who knows? I'm certainly looking forward to October, and I would like him to release it at the beginning of the month, right before the other two debates, because I'm sure that we give Trump plenty of time to analyze and find nice key attack points for the debate. There was also another assassination attempt on Angela Merkel. A Czech, I think it was a citizen, tried driving his car into the motorcade, and he had blunt objects like bricks and cinder blocks, stuff like that. And he didn't get far. She was able to get away, and not much else is really being reported on this except that, there was an assassination attempt on Angela Merkel. I don't think that that's going to be the last attempt on her. I think that more and more as the people of Europe wake up and see that their leaders have sold them a bad bill of goods, and that the Europe that they once knew and loved is being transformed into a Middle East hellhole, I think you're going to see more and more of these people rise up, and I think you could actually see a revolution or two in some of these countries, especially Germany, and have their leaders deposed. I'm not going to say with 100% certainty that that's what's going to happen. I'm just saying that it's certainly within the realm of possibility. Also in Europe, you had the Italian earthquake that completely breaks my heart to hear that a number of these beautiful, idyllic Italian villages and towns out in the mountains are just completely leveled. And that last count I got was that the dead count was around 270 people. It's just absolutely tragic. There is one good story that the rescuers were able to find a 10-year-old girl that had been trapped in the rubble for 17 hours alive, and they were able to rescue her and bring her into good health. But it's just so sad to hear the suffering going on in those mountain villages, and offer our prayers and thoughts to them, and hope that they're able to rebuild. But I don't think that a lot of these villages will ever recover. I think that they may just stay forever rubble and just continue to crumble and disintegrate back into the mountainside, which is truly a shame. Then, moving back to the States, Boston, Massachusetts, we had female thieves robbing a nun. 3 female thieves came up to a nun in the street and robbed her. The only thing they got was her rosary beads, but what kind of sick-in-the-head person robs a nun? I mean, yes, they're easy targets. I can completely understand that, but a nun's not going to have a whole lot of possessions or whatever. But as bad as this story was, it gets worse. Down in Mississippi, 2 nuns were found dead in their home from a possible break-in. There's been no suspects, as far as I know. The 2 nuns worked at a local hospital, and when they failed to report in the work, somebody went to go check on them, found them dead in their home. It's just such a shame, such a tragedy that these people are treated such a way. In Virginia, we had a knife attack. Al-Akbar jihadi Durkistani went after 2 people with a knife. Some reports say that he tried to cut the heads off of them, but what we do know is that he did stab them multiple times and leave wounds. Both of them survived. The guy's in custody. Shame he isn't dead, but that's just it. You have thieves in Indiana stealing bronze plates off of veterans' graves and then taking the bronze holders and selling them on the black market for cash, and then dumping the actual bronze plates off on the ground to just be forgotten. Really, people. Also in Indiana, you had a bunch of tornadoes ripping through. There was a video going around about a tornado knocking over a Starbucks. Last I heard, people survived in that, so that's good. And then also in another tragedy-laden state of Louisiana, Obama finally visited, but decided that he was going to stay to the safe areas. He didn't really go to the areas that he knew wasn't going to be quote unquote safe for him, i.e., the places where people probably were pissed off with him to begin with. The Japanese Prime Minister's wife visited Pearl Harbor, laid some flowers, and prayed for the dead. Some are thinking that perhaps this is a forerunner for the Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe to come himself, kind of like how our dear leader went to Hiroshima this last year. He has not, the Prime Minister has not made any indication whether he will or won't, but there's some talk about that. There's also talk about government giving refugees land leases to start farms in the Midwest. Now, think about this for a sec. We have 95 million Americans unemployed, and yet we're giving people who are being imported into this country land and jobs. If you're not outraged by this, you're a Democrat. But before we close today, let's end on a couple positive stories here. So there was a man down in Texas who was in line grocery store, saw that the elderly woman was struggling, looked like she was having a hard time paying for a few items, something like $15. So he decides to do the kind thing. He pays for her groceries, and she thanks him. He said it wasn't anything, and she asked, can I repay? He's like, look, I work at this restaurant over here. If you really want to come by and say hi sometime, I'd be more than happy to see you there. Well, a few days later, a group of people walked into that restaurant while he was working. They asked for his table. He sat down. They only ordered, I think, like a drink, and then they left. It was like $1 drink, something like that. And when he came by to pick up the check, realized that they had left him like a $500 tip and a note basically saying that what he did for their mom was very nice, and they wanted to thank him for it. The day that he ran into their mom at the grocery store there just happened to be the anniversary of the death of their dad, and it was very hard for her because they'd been married for, I think it was like 62 years. It was a very long time. So she was just going through a lot of emotions that day, and the act of kindness really helped her get through. And so they wanted to repay him and his kindness by giving him a $500 tip to say thanks. So that was really awesome. Kudos to the people down there for just being all around awesome. And then we have a lady in Manhattan. I gotta try not to laugh through this one because it's just so. It's one of those that you just like. I can't believe this just happened. But you had a lady on a Manhattan subway train. She was exhibiting some mental issues, or it's believed that she had some mental issues, while she was going around trying to sell crickets and worms to the guest passengers. Of course, that didn't really go over really well. Nobody was really buying. Well, at some point, it's not clear whether she tripped or the train moved as it's rolling down the tracks, but she lost her footing and she dropped the container with the crickets and the worms, and they scattered out all over the train, and people started freaking out as crickets were hopping all over the place, crawling up on their arms. It was just mass chaos, so much so that somebody pulled the emergency brake and stopped the train on the Manhattan Bridge, and the whole train had to be evacuated. Over a couple bugs, people. I mean, my goodness. I can understand if you're allergic to bees and you gotta, run away whenever you see them or whatever. I can understand that, but come on, crickets, they ain't gonna hurt you. But then again, we are talking city slickers here, and they probably the closest thing they've ever come to nature is Central Park, and that's it. So anyway, folks, that's it for this week's edition of the Athanasius Report. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to leave any comments on how to improve this channel. Find me on Twitter at athanasius.rep. Find me on Facebook, the Athanasius Report. And I will be expanding more and more into other social media. I'm actually signed up. Hopefully, I'll be able to get in soon to a Twitter competitor or an upcoming Twitter competitor called Gab.ai. And this is being set up by a free market type of guy that wants to go against Twitter and the fact that they censor people. He's basically leaving it open, kind of like the early days of 4chan, if anybody remembers what that was. And except, of course, having quality control that, no pornography and things like that. But I got my name on there, and I'm in like number 16,000 on the list. So whenever he decides to get around to me, I guess I'll be able to start using that. And when I do, I'll be able to let you guys know, and maybe we'll be able to see you guys on there soon. But again, subscribe, like my video, and be sure to tune in again next week for the next blog and for other videos that come in as I get to them. This is Athanasius signing off, saying good night. Christ peace upon you all.